Hey guys, yours truly, Jimmie Williams again, with another great informative video. Guys, we are really getting deep into this thing now. I'm on video number 5, and this video is called The Power of Tax Liens. This is a 10-part series. If you guys don't know that, go back and look at the other 4 videos. I'm talking about the top 10 ways to make money with real estate. Okay, so this is the top 10 money-making opportunities I think that you can use today to apply to start making some serious cash with real estate. All right, I believe in you. I know you can do this, but you have to have strategy to do it, and you have to have the wherewithal and the tenacity and the perseverance and the stickability, the word that I made up. Put all those things together, put together your plan of purpose, and put the work in, and you'll start seeing some results that you never thought possible in your life. All right, and again, I teach from 3 different methods, 3 different strategies: experience. I do research, so experience, research, and mentorship that I've gotten from others, because I've had many of them in my life, and I'm giving you the same mentorship so you can keep it going. Okay, pay it forward with the information that you get, and I think it's going to be critical that you do that for your level of success. The more you give, put out there, it's going to come back. Okay, apply what you hear, and your circumstances will change. Trust me. This method I'm using today, I'm going to be talking about today, is one of the, I wouldn't say it's a secret, but a lot of people don't know about it. And so what are we doing? We're unveiling this information so you can have access to it, so you can use what I'm saying today to better the lives of your family and the people around you and yourself. All right, let's recap for the first 4 that I already talked about. Number 1, I talked about double closings. Number 2, I talked about Airbnb. Number 3, I talked about wholesaling with single family property, houses. Number 4, I just talked, if you didn't see the last module, go look at it. Multifamily property wholesaling. So wholesaling, i.e. buildings like hotels and, condos and apartment complexes, i.e. multifamily, residences that have more than one property. And so you're buying a portfolio of 25 or 30 different properties in different states. That would be considered like a multifamily type of deal, because you're doing you're buying multiple properties. Okay, so there's different methodologies to wholesaling like that. And today, again, I'm talking about tax liens. Tax liens, all right? The power of them and what you can do with them. I want to give a little disclaimer here, okay? Because I'm a man of faith, and the Most High Yah holds me responsible and accountable as to what I teach. I don't answer to you guys, I answer to Him. And so I'm about the integrity of a thing. So the reason I'm saying this is because, real estate can be a grimy industry. The people that are in it, the people that are working in it, sometimes they're in it just for a quick buck. They don't care who they hurt. That's not me. I don't do that. And so when it comes to tax liens in particular, there's some ethics about it. There's some things that I don't fully agree with how they do things. The people that actually go and look for properties, these type of properties, they do things sometimes that are unethical and don't have an integrity mindset when they do it. I'm letting you know that's not me. And the reason I'm saying that is because when you see how you can maintain the property, it could be at the expense of you putting out a family of 6, a single mother, someone who's going through financially, they just lost their job. And the method I'm going to show you today, you can literally take possession of that property and legally make them leave. That's not my method. I'm going to show you another way where you take over the property. There's some other things that you can do to maintain your peace of mind at night. And that's what I strive for. I strive for doing things the right way so I can have a peace of mind. And by the same token, I can be a blessing and help the people I come in contact with. So let's talk about the power of tax liens and how they work. I'm not going to go into all the specifics, but I'm going to give you the basics. And then I want you to write down the things I'm going to be talking about and go do your due diligence in your local community. You can do it in other cities too, but start out with your local community. Okay, so what are tax liens? It's when someone who owns a property does not pay the taxes on that property for a series of years, generally certain states, 3 years. Okay, after 3 years, they don't pay the taxes. There's a lien on that property, and then someone on the outside, a real estate investor, or an attorney, or a realtor can come in and pay the taxes and bring the taxes current, and they give the owner a certain amount of time to come back and buy to take possession of that property over again by paying the taxes back, because I've seen that happen too. so they can maintain the property. If they don't go, if I step in there after 3 years, myself personally, and look at a property and I step in there after 3 years and pay the taxes on it, the clock starts ticking for the owner to come back and do their part and buy back that property or pay those taxes and the late fees and all that stuff to bring it current, or I take over that property. Let me say that again. Usually within 3 years, anyone on the outside, take me for example, I can look at a 10-bedroom home. Taxes are $30,000 after 3 years. I go in there and cut a check after 36 months, right? I bring the taxes current. That owner, the clock starts ticking for them to come in there and buy that, pay those taxes back or pay me back with interest. Whatever taxes or additional fees that are accrued with the banks or the laws of that state or that city and the courthouse and all that, if they don't bring those fees current after I've paid them or you've paid them, for example, you literally can take over the property. This is happening every single day around the nation. And so for me, again, it's an integrity issue. So what I would do is, and I have never done this, I know how things work where I grew up back home in Lake Butler, Florida, a small town. And my wife and I are strongly considering buying back tons of property and land and things of that nature. We haven't done it yet. We buy in other places right now. But if I were to go back, and the town is so small that I grew up in, my mom and people in my relatives, everybody knows someone. So it would make it extremely hard for me to go in there, someone that we grew up with, somebody that's a distant relative or somebody that we know, to go in there and pay the taxes on people who have not, on those properties that the properties, the taxes have not been paid, and I go in there and take over the property. That would be hard for me to do that and tell them they got to leave. But that's really, literally the deal. What I would do, and here's what you got to do to find the properties. In most cases, there are certain lists, there are certain circles of real estate investors. They have a way to get these lists, okay? And if you can't get the list, you go down to the courthouse. But let me just tell you a little story about myself. About 20 years ago, one of my mentors this is one of my first mentors, back in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. True story, I'm telling you. He had a nice little place he had on Tamarack. If you guys are familiar with Tamarack, Florida, he had a nice little building there, him and his wife. She was a broker. This man, he was paying about $200 a month for a list he was getting of pre-foreclosures, list pendants, and people who are not paying their taxes and things of that nature. He would have this list sent to him, once a month, and he would look at that list. It'd be like 200 names, and he would email them and send them a little postcard in the mail and say, hey, listen, I know something's going on with the property. I see that you're behind in payments or you haven't paid your taxes or something like that, and it's pre-foreclosure, whatever it was. And he would get like 10 or 15 phone calls per month. Out of the 10 or 15 phone calls that he got, he was doing about 2 deals per month. He had an amazing methodology. What he did was he would go meet with them at their house and say, hey, listen, look, I like your property. I see you're having problems with it and you're about to lose it. I want to offer you $10,000 or $15,000, and I'm going to take this property and put it in a trust and give you a month to get out of the building, or give him 90 days or whatever. And he did that once or twice a month. So I said to myself, well, you're giving them money and you put it in a trust. How are you making money? He said, well, Jimmie, he said, the property, is worth $300,000. I'm going to make my money when I sell it back. I'm going to put it in a trust. I'm going to make a ton of money when I sell it. He only owed like $80,000 on it or something like that, the previous owner. And he would take that property, put it in a trust. And when the time was right, he would sell it, put it back on the market. And his wife was a realtor, so she put it on the market. And they were making, when I say a slew of money, these people were making, he himself was probably making $500,000 a year on doing that little methodology, that little method I told you. Well, tax liens, you go down to the courthouse and you get one property a month or one property every 6 months. And whatever the person owes on it, you can take it over and you can pay off what they owe on it. And now you're in a pure profit. You can go put it on the market and sell it. That's what a lot of people are doing. Sometimes those properties, the person has a bad year. They only owe like $70,000 on it. The property's worth $300,000. Well, you pay the rest off and you can put it on the market and sell it again and put $200,000 in your pocket. That's what they're doing. Well, again, my conscience won't allow me to do that. So if I were to do it, this is the method I would teach. And I'm going to tell you to do the same thing. So if you find someone who falls on hard, you go down there, obviously they're on hard times unless they just don't want the property. If they're a family of 5 or 6, or if it's a single woman, whatever the situation is, and you know these people are going through, they wouldn't want to lose their property. It was probably inherited or something like that. You can go in there and talk to them and say, listen, I see that you haven't paid the taxes on it. I'll take it over, and I can rent it to you. I can lease it to you. Or if you're super generous, because my wife and I do this too, you can take it over, pay it off, and give it to them. This is not the kind of video where I'm going to tell you go, just make a lot of profit on a deal, but it's one of the strategies people are using to make a ton of money. But again, you have to sleep at night. All right? But you can do one or two things. You can say, hey, listen, I'll rent it out to you. I own it now, and I'll be fair because you have a family. You stay here, but I'm the owner. Work it out with them. Or be super generous. I'm not saying you have to do that, but you pay it off and you give them the house because you don't know their situation. You see that they're going through something. Okay, now if you look at my other video series, I was talking a lot about the power of giving. This is a good opportunity for you to overcome, that mindset to say, I need to go out and make me 20 or 50 or 100 grand on this property. If you really need to do that, then you do what you got to do, but I don't recommend it. I'm not telling you to really give them anything. If you have that mindset you want to give, you can. But the least you can do is lease it out or rent it out to them and give them a good deal where they can actually take care of the payments. You take it, you still own the property. But this is what people are doing. Again, a couple things you got to watch out for. You got to watch out for the laws of the land of the city or country or state the county that you're in. For instance, I came from a real small county in Florida. Lake Butler is Union County. They're very old school. They do things a very specific way. All right. I'll give you another example. I have land back home. I have an inheritance. My grandfather left me. You guys hear me talk about him a lot. He left all this acreage of land. And when he left that inheritance for us, we can't go back and sell that land. We have to go down to the county and we have to lease a portion of the land. So if I want to go back home and pick out 5 acres, I could do that right now, but I have to go down to the county and lease the land for 5 years, or not for 5 years, pardon me. The leasing option, I think, is for 99 years for leasing it. And you pay a flat rate, and you get to lease the land, you get to build on it and all that. But those are the laws of that land, at that region. If I don't do that, I legally can't go and build on it, even though it's a family inheritance. So it's the same thing with tax liens. There's certain laws in certain states. I'm hearing in some states now, even after 3 years, you pay the taxes, you have to wait a certain amount of time to give the person who owns it an opportunity to make that right, to come back and pay back what you pay, and then the interest on that and the other fees that they've accrued, like I said earlier. I'll give you one little example. This really happened to someone, and it was devastating for the person, but they didn't know the laws. They went and they picked up a property. This property was worth almost $1 million. The person fell on hard times who owned it, couldn't pay taxes for 3 years. The investor went down there and paid, I forget how much it was. It was a ton of money he paid for the taxes because it was one of those very upper middle class areas, values on the rise. 3 years had passed, he paid it. And right when the deadline for him to completely own it, I think a couple of days before, get this, he had put like $200,000 in fixing the property up because, the person who was living there needed some cosmetics. But again, the area was just nice, but it needed about 200 grand of work. It needed a roof, and it needed some stuff in the kitchen. He went and put the marble in the kitchen, and he put down the tile, and made this place immaculate. He gets a knock at the door. It was the owner. Now keep in mind, the owner had moved out of the property, so he had started fixing it up. So I guess he was there doing some, with somebody else just passing through. He wasn't living there, but he was there that day. This person stops by, knocks on the door and says, hey, thanks for fixing up my house for me. I just bought it back. I just paid the fees and you're out of here. He was devastated. Okay. So those are, again, when you know the laws that govern the city and state that you're in, what goes, you'll know what not to do. A wise person would not have fixed that property up like that until they know they have the property. Just a little side note for you. Do your due diligence on whatever you're doing. Understand the laws that govern this the principles of real estate, especially when it comes to tax liens. All right. I hope you got something out of this. I mean, there's a lot more to share, but again, I give you little bits and nuggets so you can understand. So I highly advise study on where to find these properties. There's two major ways. Get in certain circles, okay? Google it, and there's certain email lists you can get on where they'll tell you these properties are having problems. You can go down to the courthouse and you can pay for these. If you're not in the same city, then you need to find an agent or someone in that city to go down there and take care of the taxes, or you can make a phone call. Not because of the internet and the way we're doing business now, you can do things online. But back home, you literally got to go, because it's a small town that I live in. You got to go down there and look up the list and pay the taxes, that kind of way. But do that, right? So you find the circle, like my old mentor did. He had this newspaper come directly to his mail every month. He picked it up, say, hey, Jimmie, look, 10 properties here. I actually went with him one time to go in a person's house. That deal didn't go very well, but I saw how he did it. And secondly, the courthouse, right? There's so much I didn't mention in here, but that's enough for you to get started with. Again, keep a pure conscience. And the method I was telling you about, renting and leasing it back to the owner, is a good method depending on your mindset and your beliefs. But I gave you the information. You do what you have to do with it, all right? I hope this was very helpful for you. I'll see you at the top, okay? You guys are awesome. I'll see you up here or on the next video, okay? Let's make it happen. Bye-bye.